Okay, I'll call to order the Monday, January 5th, 2026 Town of Dudley Government Study Committee. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Item number 2, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the 12/8/25 minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. The only correction I have is that my name is misspelled half the time. And it keeps floating between a J and a Y.
I will point that out to our minute clerk.
It's not even like halfway through, it starts and stops. It kind of floats back and forth.
I'll have her change that.
That's fine. Okay, okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. You weren't here. Thank you. Okay, public business. First order is 3A. The committee votes to appoint a clerk because we have the vacancy in the clerk position, and we're all here. So does anybody have any nominations for the clerk position?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Hannah.
Okay.
Would you accept?
Would you accept?
Yes?
Perfect. Okay.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, Hannah being the clerk?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Did you know that was coming?
Nope.
Congratulations.
Second, I think we can have a discussion on the vacancies. We have 2 vacancies? No, 1 vacancy.
Mr. Chair, you would officially have 1 full vacancy and 2 alternate vacancies.
Right.
That would be the maximum that you would have
Yeah.
if you choose to pursue that.
So I know we kind of had a brief discussion about this. I don't even know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before that. Does anybody have any comments on adding another member to the board, or maybe an alternate?
Mr. Chair, so the last time we had this discussion, I was adamantly against adding others since we're realistically about halfway through. However, speaking with others and some from outside of the committee, it does make sense where right now we run dangerously thin on a quorum if one cannot make it. So I'm going to change my position and say that we add 1, just to give us that buffer so we don't run into a problem with a quorum.
Okay.
Does it have to be full member, or can it be alternate, the position we do fill? I'm just thinking, is it easier to fill one versus the other?
We have a full-time vacancy. Would you just naturally fill that first?
Mr. Chair, I'll provide some clarification. If you were to fill the full-time vacancy, that would bring your full membership to 7, and the quorum would still be 4, as it is now, but gives you a little more flexibility with getting members to attend.
Right.
If you were to post an alternate vacancy, that member would not be able to vote, and they would only become a voting member if one of you were to, for whatever reason, resign from the committee.
Okay.
So it wouldn't solve any problem.
Wouldn't help.
No, it wouldn't.
It's not like a special permitting authority where you need an alternate who can act in the absence of a
All right.
full member.
All right. So you have anybody?
No, I don't.
Vice chair?
I do not have a, no. I'm just speaking on
Oh, okay.
opening it up.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Because the appointing authority is the board of selectmen.
correct.
So we'd have to make nominations to the board. For the members originally who applied who were not appointed, before my time, I'm just curious.
Yeah. I don't even know.
Others who might be.
Through the chair, we had everybody who applied was appointed in some form, whether that was an alternate or a full member.
Did she apply then?
No, she did not apply.
She did not.
New clerk, if she
Okay. Any other comments, or should we entertain a motion?
I'll just point out that we're taking this action tonight as opposed to 2 weeks ago because our meeting was canceled due to a lack of available quorum. So I fully support this move.
Question for Olivia. The selectmen's procedure for filling positions, what do they usually do? Do they advertise for a certain period of time, or?
So if the motion is to post some sort of vacancy, I would notify Amanda Gage to put it out on the town website, and I would notify Debbie LaPlaca to get it out on social media and to get it on the internal screens here, that we're looking for someone to fill that vacancy. After that, they would give me some sort of expression of interest. I believe you all provided your resumes when you applied for this position originally, explaining why they wanted to serve on the committee, and then I would provide that information to the Board of Selectmen and let them choose on whether to appoint that person.
When do they meet again?
Next Selectmen's meeting would be Monday the 12th, so that agenda would have to be posted by Thursday. I don't know if we'll get anybody that rapidly, but who knows, maybe someone watching at home is really excited to join us.
Right. So it's possible as early as next Monday.
It's possible, and then the next Selectmen's meeting after that is the 26th.
Anybody else? Anybody else? So do we have a motion?
I'll make motion
Okay.
to advertise for the open position, permanent position on the Government Study Committee.
Okay.
A singular, look, spot.
Perfect.
Second it?
Second. Any discussion? Okay, take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Perfect. Okay, next item is C, vote to approve the following meeting dates in January. Next meeting would be January 13th, which is Tuesday.
Are we still meeting on Monday, the 12th, just to go to the board selecting meeting?
That's gonna be coming up in a couple items.
Oh, sorry.
We're gonna get there.
You could certainly take it out of order, Mr. Chairman, if you wanted to address that now. Or if you wanted to wait, that's fine too.
I was just asking if you were.
Okay, well, okay, so, but pertinent to the meeting dates, the plan was to meet with the Board of Selectmen next Monday, the 12th.
Right, so I was under the impression, Mr. Chairman, that it would be you or maybe you and the vice chair coming in to provide an
Right.
update, which would not be an official meeting of the committee.
Correct,
Right,
yes.
so
we-
hence not an official meeting date on the agenda.
We would have an official meeting on Tuesday, the 13th.
Right.
In lieu of the Monday meeting, or,
It's also because we have another board meeting in room 315, so we didn't have any rooms available to meet Monday night.
right, exactly, yeah. So that would be Tuesday, the 13th. Tuesday, the 20th, because Monday, the 19th is a holiday, so that would be a Tuesday as well. And then January 26th is a Monday.
Yeah, and you'll be in the other room because selectmen will be in here.
Selectmen will be in here. That's a Monday. And then, yeah, so does anybody have do we have to motion the meetings?
I'd appreciate a motion to approve
Okay.
the following meeting dates.
Does anybody have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make motion for the following dates: January 13, 2026, January 20, 2026, January 28, 26, 2025. Did I say
Oops.
20? Yes,
2026, yeah, I'd make a correction. I didn't catch that until now. Okay, we have a motion.
Second it?
Second, any discussion?
Yes.
Oh,
I know when we had discussed the dates for our working meetings, it became clear that we have a very ambitious schedule, along with everything else that goes on within our own personal lives. I will speak up now that I probably, something has come up and I'm probably not going to be available on the 12th, okay? So I don't know if anyone else has issue with this type of schedule throughout the month of January, or do you want to redact one date just to kind of give us a breather, or if you're comfortable with, meeting each week. I know we talked about time. We need to accomplish great things in a short period of time here, so I don't know if this is overly ambitious for people or where we stand.
Any comments?
Just not exactly to your point, but the Webster Selectmen meet the second Monday of every month. So anytime doesn't make a difference this January because it's not a full board meeting on the 12th. Chairman, vice chairman, whoever shows up for that. So just on an ongoing basis, just be aware of that. That's a conflict I obviously can't avoid. So not speaking to your point directly, but I just wanted to put that out there to the committee. It's not a lack of interest or effort, it's just not possible.
Can't make it, that's fine.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I think that we have some competing factors here. We do all have outside lives. We do have all of us have outside commitments. We do have a lot of work ahead of us. We've got a decent amount of work behind us. If we did want to lighten the schedule in January, I'd say I'd be in favor of removing January 13th. January 20th would be our normally scheduled week to meet, 19th being a holiday, move to the 20th. And the 26th, hopefully by then, we would have perhaps a 7th member of the committee approved by the Board of Selectmen, either at 112 or more realistically, the 126 meeting. And so maybe that would be a fortuitous time for us to meet and bring that person up to speed. So if we did want to remove a meeting in January, and I certainly understand and appreciate that, I'd say let's try to remove January 13th.
I would support that too.
The motion would have to be amended.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to amend my motion for dates of upcoming meetings. And I would like to redact the January 13, 2026 date, but continue with the January 20 and January 26, 2026 dates.
Okay. Does anyone have any discussion on that?
Second that.
Seconded. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Skip the 13th, do the 20th and the 26th. All right. Let's jump to item G, because that's going to be 112. So Paul, you said you're not going to be able to make the 12th?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I'm out of town, and I don't anticipate coming back into town till maybe 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I'll be at the meeting. Can anybody else attend?
I can go.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
And depending on what time it's on the agenda, it's possible I could come from Webster to Dudley, but I wouldn't count on me being there. But I'm
Okay.
certainly interested in doing that if
Meeting
the
start-
timetable works out.
The meeting starts at 6:30?
Meeting starts at 6:30. I've not yet put together the agenda. I don't think it's going to be a very lengthy agenda, so it'll be closer to 6:30. Also, fine with 3 of you being there. 4 or more, no, because then
Right,
that's a
exactly.
quorum.
Okay. So don't kill yourself.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Thank you, Hannah, for offering. I think I have an idea of where I'm gonna go with this, but does anybody have any ideas? I mean, I can certainly update them, the status of where we're at. I know that some sort of a report, a draft is due within do we know the exact date? Does anybody know that for certain? February. Sometime in February. Rich, do you know it?
I don't know exactly, but warrant articles would be due round about the end of February, beginning of March, correct?
We start putting together a draft warrant usually very early March. We like to have an idea of everything that's going to be included.
So I think, trying to figure out where this committee is going to be in that time frame is the key information you need to get to the Board of Selectmen. I think we're going to be prepared, full guns blazing, to bring forward a couple of recommendations, or we're in the middle of the beginning of our process, and we're going to need more time, and spring town meeting does not look possible, and fall town meeting looks more realistic.
I agree with your thinking. I mean, spring is right around the corner. As much as, we still have a lot of money to spend on the streets, it's right around the corner, and it's gonna come up very quickly. So I think you're probably right, Rich, that fall probably makes more sense.
Without having spent much time speaking with town hall staff, with the topics of DPW consolidation, potentially changing to an elected town meeting, a representative town meeting versus an open town meeting. Those are all big questions. And, last time we didn't have much of a survey response. I don't know where we'll end up when we talk about that topic tonight. But it seems to me that there's still a lot of road to go.
I agree.
And the one thing we don't want to do is rush this process just to say, oh, we met a deadline. We want to do it the right way regardless of how long it takes.
I could also gauge their, I don't know whether they should, I don't know what, I guess as a committee, we need to be confident into what we could present, either for spring or fall. I don't know if it's appropriate to ask them whether they would prefer that we break it up into spring and fall. If we have one or two issues that we could present in the spring,
Mr. Chair.
Should we do that?
I think it should just be one package.
one package.
Instead of splitting it up,
Okay.
and I think just one final package.
Fine.
That's just, my viewpoint.
In the, probably, well, not probably, I mean, if we can't do this by the fall, that would be surprising.
But thus the need for a little more aggressive schedule in these winter months to really, check off some boxes and make sure that we hit the mile markers that are ahead of us.
Olivia, I don't know if this is, I don't know if you can even answer this question, but of the 8 or 9 things that we've been discussing, is there any that would be better acted on earlier than later? Is there any timeliness to any of these issues that would be better served in the spring versus the fall? Or does it just does it not matter at all?
Mr. Chair, you could always ask the selectmen that question next week.
Okay.
And you could also pose the question of separating it out or keeping it, as the vice chair said, in one concise package.
Okay.
See what they're expecting.
I would agree with the vice chairman too, though. I think one presentation, it's a lot clearer. I think it gives you, I think you have to have the perspective of the total body of work of the committee. I just don't think, I haven't seen such a report broken up into multiple sections. I haven't seen that.
I would let the board come to that question on their own. I would just say we're gonna deliver in the fall. Don't even ask the question. Because we don't want to divvy it up, and if the board says they want to divvy it up, then what are we gonna do? Say no? I don't think so.
I would tend to think the Board of Selectmen wants to see the committee comfortable with what the committee presents to them. I would think that's more important to them than a few months.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll present it that way.
You get to ask the
Yeah,
question, Mr.
yeah.
Chairman. How
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
No, I'll just present it that way, that
Yeah.
we're we know that there was a deadline in here of February for spring, but in order to do the most thorough job that we think we can do, we will need until the fall, and present one package of recommendations for the meeting articles. There'd probably be more than one.
Right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, and if the board decides that they would prefer to break it up, then it's their choice to break it up at that point. But we have delivered our product, our end product, and then where it goes from there is in their hands, not ours.
I can bring that to them. That's fine. Sure. You bring up a good point, Rich. I mean, we do want to speak with the, town hall staff some more, get some more opinions. Some of these, how these issues affect operations, and we haven't done any of that yet.
That's right.
So, other than the Water and Sewer Commission.
And I had a thought too, looking into a topic, and I can work with Olivia on this. And I was thinking in terms of looking at the bond ratings throughout the state, and looking at the forms of government for those towns that have stronger bond ratings. I think that is. I don't know what that is, but I can imagine what that is.
You're thinking,
So, for instance, you might have a town like Wellesley that may have a AAA bond rating. Well, what's their form of government?
I see your
That type of
correlation.
thing, versus the town of, Savoy. I mean, I'm just throwing towns out, okay? I'm just curious to see where that points us in terms of, because bond rating speaks a lot to the community's financial management and their operations. I think those of us who've been through conversations during a bond rating process, they're pretty thorough, and it goes well beyond, just how much you got in the bank. It goes through a lot of elements, your financial stability at the time, any type of legal obligations, your operational structure. So I think it might be a good barometer to see if there's a relationship between, with the bond rating companies and form of government.
I do know that the bond companies, rating companies do take those things into consideration. I'm not sure it's a high percentage of the overall score, but it is certainly a factor. So that may be some interesting data that you're able to pull.
I'll be happy to work with Olivia on that. If you don't mind, Olivia, working with me on that.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. I think I know what to say. Item D. Survey preliminary check-in. Anna.
So I got 111 responses.
Okay.
So pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to go through the questions and what the general answers are?
I think so.
Okay. I don't know. Do you want me to put this on the screen? Yeah.
Pass this down to Hannah, please.
Thank you. I hope that works.
And then you should push the silver button.
Cool. I can also download these results and put them right into our shared drive so that you guys have them, because there's one section where people type a lot of stuff and I'm not going to read all that stuff out to you.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So do you believe in the town of Dudley's news and government activities are effectively communicated to you? Most said no. Do you believe the current government structure in the town of Dudley works well and your voice is heard? Most also said no. Do you believe that the change to the current form of government should be examined and proposed? Most said yes. So it does seem like a lot of people do want change. Are you familiar with the charter method? It's 50-50 pretty much. I was pretty surprised because before this I did not know what a charter was, so interesting. Do you think the town of Dudley should examine the feasibility of a charter with which any proposal will go before the residents before a vote? Most said yes. I thought this was kind of split in how important that choice of looking at a charter would be. Majority were in the middle, but most people were pretty high importance. Do you believe the town of Dudley should continue its open town meeting form of governments or examine a change to the representative town? This question was kind of phrased a little weird. I'm assuming that should continue its open town form of governance would be the yes category. So most people do like this.
That's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. Do you believe Dudley's voters use of election process effectively replaces qualified individuals in key government positions, give voters performance oversight of those elected, and provides the ability to correct poor performance? Yep. And then we get to question 9 where people got to submit their own responses. There's a lot in there, so I'll just download that and send it to you guys. It's pretty fun. I was reading them. So I will download those for you guys so you can see. But good, I think good outcome for
What was the total that went out?
111.
No, but how many,
Was it
4,000
reached?
went out?
Yeah, how they distributed.
I mean, it was all online, so I'm not sure. I can probably.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, we just posted.
I can see
Yeah, yeah.
views.
We have Debbie LaPlaca here. She could probably give us the number.
We're up to 44,700 on Facebook, and I've posted it pretty much every other week. It's been on the internal monitors. It's been on the outside board. It's been, so that's Facebook, 4,700. Also posted it on Twitter. I did 2 press releases so far. So it's been in the Webster Times a couple times, and it may have been in the other publication, I'm not familiar. So it's been all over the place. It's been on the town website, and I believe it was the December newsletter. So it's reached a lot of people.
The request has reached a lot of people, or a lot of eyes should have seen it.
Right.
Great. Okay.
Right, if you were interested, then you were presumably paying some level of attention.
That's the whole thing. And each time I posted it on social media, I phrased it a different way, trying to catch people's attention a little bit. Last time I posted it was yesterday in anticipation of your meeting tonight. Hopefully we might get a few responses in today. So is there any way to determine when your responses came in? For instance, I can compare if you got the most responses on a certain date, I can see if that's the date it came out in the newspaper, if that's a date I posted on Facebook, is that a newsletter date? I can kind of gauge what is tracking and what is getting people's attention.
Yes, I actually can see the dates. That
I'm sorry, what?
I can see the dates that people submitted them. So I'd have to export the data really quick and then look at it.
Not tonight necessarily, but if you could send that to me, that would be great.
Okay, sounds good.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So, there's good data there. how do you want to utilize that as we compile our recommendations? And I'll just use, for instance, the town meeting, okay, whether they want to remain with an open town meeting or maybe look at changing to a representative town meeting. Clearly, the numbers were overwhelming to remain with a open town meeting. So do you want to do anything else with that question presented to us, or just say, you know, it's pretty clear that the townspeople want to remain with an open town meeting, and just state that in our report?
I mean, I think we can, I mean, I think, yeah, if the survey question supports the status quo or what's happening, that affirms that the people want what we have, and I think that issue's settled, right? It's where we're seeing the moving away from the norm, or if the question asks us to pursue something else, then we should pursue those.
I mean, that's my thinking.
That would-
Also,
that
I don't know
would-
what the rest of
If
the
anybody
committee
else has
have
any
for
theories
thoughts.
on that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, my, if I may, just, I mean, you look at the other questions, do the people feel like they're representative by the government? And they say no. So why is that? And so to Hannah's comment about maybe that question wasn't properly asked, to get to the real crux of the response that people, you know, understanding the question. I just, again, we want to make sure that, you know, we stay focused on the folks of Dudley and what their needs are, and not just having them have a voice is something that I really would like us to try to resolve in this committee. That's it. And so however we can skin that, you know, to make that, you know, try to, you know, make our point that that's what we're trying to resolve, and this is our option, this is our recommendation on that point. So I don't want to walk away from that response, or that, to your point, I'm not prepared to call it we're not going to pursue that solution of a representative type of government. I'm not prepared to concede on that request to the townspeople. I guess that's my point.
Okay. The questions were phrased to support or give evidence towards certain areas of things that we were researching. So, for example, that question about the town meeting fits into legislative body structure. Should Dudley continue to operate under an open town meeting format as its legislative body? I guess, so my original theory was, okay, we currently have an open town meeting format, and it seems like the survey supports the townspeople supporting that method, right?
The representative town meeting is still an open town meeting, right?
Okay.
So
So I guess we as a committee need to decide whether the representative form is still an important thing to pursue.
yes.
And I'm going to throw this out there. We schedule an open meeting with people to come in to give us their comments on that. And then we can work on expanding that topic into whether we need to explore that more. Because we as a committee, I don't know, we as a committee might not have clearly conveyed an opinion or clearly conveyed the situation. Maybe we need to talk about it more, to your point.
Yeah,
Right.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
So,
That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Chair, the idea of representative town meeting, and I'll be looking for some backing on this, but it's not an open door town meeting. It's accessed through the assigned representatives for your district,
Right.
and that's about it. You know, so
Okay.
it's not, if you need to bring something to town meeting floor, you go to your elected or appointed representative, just as you would,
Right.
through the State House.
Right.
And then they would bring your concerns to town meeting.
Right.
In the short, that's about it.
Yes, that's correct. No, some have gone representative town meeting, have actually gone back to open town meeting. I think Webster did that so many years ago. In fact, I think those towns that went to a zero quorum actually had people start to show up at town meetings. It's interesting. So, but I think the method of selection is almost exclusively elected. So you're going to still have that issue of getting people to run for anything these days. Criticism, that's just the world we're in at the moment. So it doesn't solve, in fact, it may cause some issues beyond what every town has right now. And that's getting people to
Right.
volunteer,
Right.
run, and show up. I mean, you can still have quorum issues with a representative town meeting.
Right. Population of 10,000 people and 100 people show up to a town meeting, or 150. So you talk to the other 9,500 or whatever it is people, and wouldn't it be nice that they had a representation at that meeting even though they physically can't be there? That's the question to them,
Yes.
right? And do they see a greater value in moving towards that? Here you're getting a voice of 90% of the town on that one question by asking them if they would prefer that. I don't know. I think it's a no-brainer. I think the probability of having people wanting to have a voice, even though they're not there, would be of greater value than sticking with a select few in the town that keep going. That's my my view, right? So I don't know how to skin it. I'm just trying to advocate that I know
Don't throw it out the window.
I just not ready to let it go. That's,
Mr. Chair, so I always considered the first round of questions to be kind of a guidepost for us, not a specific longitude and latitude that we have to get to. And I think we've got some feedback that now allows us to press down a certain path, taking into consideration all of the questions that were posed to us, all the things that we want to explore, but within a broader context. From what I saw at 80% of the people, granted it's 111 people, so it's not an overwhelming number, but 80% are in favor of at least exploring a charter. I'm actually surprised by that.
Yes.
Pleasantly surprised by that. So I think it's clear that one of the things we should be looking at prior to putting together a game plan for, okay, so what does a charter look like? What does a charter committee look like? And starting to formulate some thoughts around that, and then coming up with a second round of questions with a little bit more specificity, as well as perhaps, as you suggested, holding an opening meeting night. Open mic night. Come on in and speak your mind.
and would it be, if I may, would it be if we pursued and invested our resources into Charter Avenue, that the representative form of government could be included in that structure?
Of course, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point,
Yeah,
right?
that's the whole point. It's clear now that we're not looking at this piece here, this piece there.
Yes.
From the response, and again, very limited response, we can't guarantee that 110 of these responses were not from Greenland. But I suspect that these are probably concerned citizens in Dudley, and we've got the path of we're not going to look at it piecemeal. This bylaw change, that bylaw change. They want a kind of a comprehensive approach. So just having that information, I think, drives us in a certain direction.
I would even say, like, we could present those PowerPoints before we're, like, come to the desk. Like, here's what an open representative would do, or, sorry, open meeting, and then here's the representative meeting, and then come to the mic after you've learned what we've learned and what we've discussed. And then give us your feedback. So it could be almost educational at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we might see different responses if we sent it out again.
That could be time consuming.
That's why I don't think we're going to be prepared to present something for the beginning of March.
I agree. Yep. Okay. Should we formalize any action on the survey questions and results?
I have just emailed them over to everyone, sorry.
We just were exposed to these. I would like to sit down, go through them myself, formulate my thoughts.
Good.
And I'm sure everyone else would like some time just to go through. But I'm just not ready to make a decision on something right now that I just witnessed 10 minutes ago. So I think that could be put on to our next agenda.
We'll put it on the agenda for the 20th.
And then, and I'll call it, actionable items, where if we go through each question, do we want to continue with that research, or is it a dead issue? We can start now just thinning these things out.
Thank you.
Well, makes sense to me, sure.
Okay,
yeah.
Put things in the rearview mirror then.
Yes.
I think to Brian's point, though, on open representative town meeting, I think, the question wasn't as clear. I don't think we got a good enough picture of what people were responding to. I think to Hannah's point, I think my instinct was to look at that and say, okay, people overwhelmingly favor an open town meeting, but people don't know what representative town meeting is. So I think if you're the average responder, you don't necessarily understand the question in its entirety. So I think this is the way to pull that apart again a little bit differently. And I think people do have to understand what each is. Because I don't think people know that.
What are the advantages and consequences?
Exactly. Yes. It's pros and cons of everything. That's right.
Yes,
So
that's right.
ideally, they all work right. But this is government.
So you were suggesting, Keith, to invite some folks in for sort of a question and answer? Is that, and so that would be just the general public coming here, and then we would be, maybe discussing or educating maybe the open town meeting and maybe the charter, what it is, right? Probably those are the just two things I think would be the most educational topics for the public to start introducing them to
Ideally,
what that is,
If
right?
you answered one way or the other on the question, I would hope that you would come in
Yeah,
and say,
Right.
hey, I said yes because of these reasons.
Right,
Or I
right.
said no because
Right,
of these reasons.
right.
And, help
yeah.
guide us.
Can we reverse communicate with the people who submit?
I don't know that one. I don't think so. You'd have to pay a lot of money to do that.
It sounds like, yeah.
Dudley's got the money.
That we do not have.
No.
You have $200, make it happen.
That's right.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could have like one slide. Like here's number one, the question number one where we asked about a charter. This is what a charter is. This is what we're currently doing now. And it's just one slide, and then we can talk to the public and see what they say. Or like, open meeting is this, and then it's another like quick one slide, hit note, and then get their opinions so that they are educated also. Because a lot of the responses were like, I don't know what any of this means. How am I supposed to answer questions? And I don't know what it means. They were allowed to skip questions, so some questions are actually answered.
And you said in the comments, there's some of that in the comments about
Yeah.
people's lack of understanding of certain.
Topics, yeah.
Well, I
Like
think
why
goes
was
to
it
your
there?
point, Paul, that we need to look at them ourselves and
Yes.
kind of get us a feel for them. Yeah. But I think that plays right to the point. People don't necessarily know what they're looking at. And again, never an insult to the public, that's not the point, because it's, unless you're either been working with it for a while or you're sitting and looking at it like we are, you know, it's okay not to know. You know, it's
Yeah,
quite
right.
okay, you know?
I don't know, Olivia or maybe Debbie, if we've been presenting PowerPoints, could we, like, YouTube the PowerPoint?
Yes,
Okay.
we can turn a PowerPoint into a video.
Okay,
We've done that before.
okay.
And you can do a voiceover, you can just present the information in the slide version, video version. We can put slides in between the questions to make it one complete package. And then again, blanket the town, press releases. I did get the information just now from Hannah that December 1st was significantly the big hit for the responses. So I'm thinking that's the day it came out in the newsletter, the December newsletter. So if you're still pursuing this survey, another survey, any kind of response or new information from the public, we can drop it into the February newsletter if that works with your timeline.
I don't know, I'm thinking when we meet on the 20th, if we come up with one or two topics that we really want to focus on, if we already have a PowerPoint that works, or if we need to just put together some slides to help elaborate on it and get that out before the meeting. So, instead of waiting until the meeting to present this information, get it out ahead of time so that if someone wants to come in, they can say, oh, I watched it and I know the basic level of information, and that may be a good way to start. What does everybody think about that?
So you would just do another press release or survey kind of thing, right? You would just put the thing out there,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, once we have a chance to look at them individually, I think some trends may stand out, and then we can kind of submit our thoughts about follow-up survey questions.
Okay.
So what would the time frame on that be?
The next newsletter goes out February 1st?
Maybe 4th.
Okay. So we would need to have something, we would need to do something on the meeting of the 26th.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, you need to finalize what you're doing on the 26th for me to drop it into the newsletter that
Right.
quickly.
Yes.
I can pre-write a lot of it and be prepared
Yeah.
or, anticipate what you're gonna drop in.
Okay.
But I do need a few days to
Yes.
get that together.
All right.
So we could presumably have everyone's thoughts presented on the 20th?
Yep.
And
File it.
some final
Yeah.
questions be submitted to Hannah?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm thinking if indeed the newsletter was the genesis of the majority of our responses, or the high point, that drove the responses, maybe putting in something from the committee into that newsletter about who we are, what we've done so far, what we've been tasked to do, and what we're looking to do, might not be a bad idea for that February newsletter.
That's a good idea.
It doesn't need to be 7 pages. I don't think Mrs. Parker would appreciate 7 pages worth, but maybe 4 or 5, maybe 4 paragraphs or so.
Each and every time I've written about the government study committee, even back when the state first made a recommendation to form one, I've done background of what you are, what your charge is, what your tasks are. So let's say I put that out in front of the residents 15 times. However, they have not had, this is what we've been doing, and this is where we are today, and that might grab some attention. Good or not so great, but it might grab some attention.
And correspond timing-wise with our update to the Board of Selectmen. So Board of Selectmen update, citizens update.
Yep.
We could also add in like a link to our YouTube channel in case they want to watch our videos. I think it's the playlist. So to bring them directly to all of our videos of what
Sure.
we've been doing.
That's not a bad idea. Okay. Debbie, would you want some of us, I mean, would we write that and you can work with it, or?
Give me whatever you'd like to give me, and
Okay.
it doesn't have to be, copy ready. Just give me your thoughts, what you want to relate to the residents, and I'll write whatever you need done.
Okay, so I can't, can I write something and ask everyone's opinion in an email if I send it to everybody, or is that a meeting?
I would send it to Olivia. Let
Okay.
Olivia distribute it to us.
Okay. I'll take a stab at writing something up, send it to Olivia, and we can see where we go from there. It'll actually help me formulate my thoughts for next Monday. So that's actually helpful.
Are you gonna have it by next Monday?
Yes.
Okay. So then could we add like a meeting thing that is like we discuss our notes about it? Like a meeting agenda item?
I don't think it's the time for that.
For what day? The third?
Yeah, we don't have a meeting here next week, so.
We won't
Oh.
have a meeting next week.
Sorry, so whatever the
Yeah.
next meeting is, can we
It-
add an agenda item about that?
Yes, on the 20th,
Yeah,
yes,
on the-
yes, absolutely, yes, yeah. But I just want to get everybody my comments before the meeting, so, and I don't want to violate any protocols, so send it to you directly. Perfect, I can do that. All right, wonderful. All right. I think we've got a plan.
Moving.
Okay, good, all right, wonderful. Anything else on the survey? Seeing no hands, we'll say it's done. View of member research. I did a brief PowerPoint on this, on my operational efficiencies. It's under the OneDrive. Olivia, I'm going to put you on the spot. We spoke briefly about a couple of these things, and I'm going to kind of look towards you because I know that a lot of the things that I'm going to present are done, and I think you have just the higher level of detail than I do. Okay, so I dug into the operational efficiency in municipal functions. And if we go to the next slide. So, what is operational efficiency? It's reducing, it's the ability to reduce waste in time, effort, and materials, and still producing a high-quality service. The efficiencies, they lead to cost savings, improved service delivery, increased public trust, which is important. Better resource allocation. You can probably, spread your dollar or spread the human resource, across several functions. You've made things more productive, and enhancing employee productivity. It's doing more with less, and I think we all understand. I think that's why we're here. That the concept of the rising citizen expectations was interesting to me because actually been talking about this in my work. They keep expecting a higher level of service, right? Like, online, like everything's online, right? They want to do everything online. Putting things online isn't free. Sometimes it costs quite a bit of money to get a special application or a service or something. And the end user doesn't realize how much effort or cost there is sometimes into doing things like that. They just expect it to happen, right? Because that's the age we live in. So citizen expectations is an interesting one, Next slide. So there are several structural changes that towns can often, undertake, which is the other topic that I presented on at the last meeting, which is like shifting positions like treasurer, collector, or town clerk from elected to appointed. And, my presentation went into all the reasons why that may be a good idea. Having unqualified people in certain positions in a town is not very good. Actually, you mentioned bond rating earlier.
Yeah.
That was one of the risk management portion of not having the appropriate people in those, very high-level
Sure.
positions can affect bond ratings.
Yep.
Because it affects the stability of the town, Shared services, collaborating with neighboring towns. Olivia, this is where I think you could help me out. Now, we definitely do regional dispatch from the police side of things. Not fire and police, is that included?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. IT, no. Public Works, well, we spoke quite a bit a few meetings ago about the possibility of a combined, sewer and highway into the DPW departments. That's one area where we might pursue it. So we're looking at shared services in a lot of cases. Department consolidation, merging overlapping offices like finance, human resources, water and sewer. I think it was encouraging to hear from our water and sewer meeting that in a lot of cases, the Sewer and Water Commission, they enacted a lot of the recommendations without even knowing they were recommended. I think, that was interesting to me, that they were doing a lot of what the previous reports had suggested to do. So we might already be tapping a lot of the department consolidation as well. Regional planning, participate in regional councils to coordinate land use, transportation, economic development. Olivia, that's another area that we've tapped here in Dudley, right?
Yes, we use CMRPC, which is the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission.
Yes.
Those C's always get confused. I think
Yeah.
it's commission.
And the town planner is the proposal, I think, I don't know that we have one exactly yet.
Not yet. The
Not yet.
proposal is to share the town planner with the town of Blackstone.
Correct. Right. So you're getting the same expertise, but just a portion of it, but you're also paying a portion of it, so that helps budget-wise. Perfect. The last one, charter modernization, updating town charters to reflect current needs and allowing for flexibility in governance structures. That's one that I think we're going to talk more about in the near future, I think, really. The next slide. Is there a next one? Procedural changes. Towns, in looking at procedural changes, towns can look at strategic planning, adopt long-term plans with measurable goals. This is really getting things documented. Where are we going? It's proactive versus reactive. I see it as being proactive versus reactive. Performance management, using metrics and dashboards to track service delivery and hold departments accountable. I think we've heard a lot about, Olivia, about the finance procedures and policies that the town is enacting. I think that kind of flows into that area, I believe, a little bit. I know I've heard a little bit of talk about it from the town accountant and Rich, how they're coordinating the financial fiscal management of the town. I think that's much better now than perhaps it was in the past. So that's one area where we've tapped. Digital transformation, implement cloud-based platforms, permitting, licensing. I believe the town has done some of that as well, right?
Yeah, I would say almost all of the town permits are now available in OpenGov, and that's across multiple departments: fire, board of selectmen, board of health. So,
That's one of those things where there's probably a cost associated with that, right? So
There is.
the applicant thinks, well, great, this is online, click, done. But that's, you still need a person to see it on the other end, but that person would have been the one just collecting the form for free.
You also have a software expense.
Software expense, right?
That's,
Yes, yeah, right.
That can be
software.
substantial.
Citizen engagement, expand online portals, surveys, and participatory budgeting to improve trust and responsiveness. We utilized a survey. I know that the online presence of the town has increased over the years, which is probably not a bad thing. And giving people more access to who's doing what and what they're doing and when they're doing it through town meetings. Goes with digital transformation, but maybe also citizen engagement, filming all the meetings and having them posted so that people can have access to these meetings and hear what's going on. That's important. And the last one is streamlined decision making, which is reducing redundant committees, clarifying roles between select boards or town managers, and just empowering the professional staff. That would be an area where that can be a difficult one, because sometimes, empowering sometimes means someone has to relinquish some power or supervise it more, and that can be difficult sometimes.
Or perceived power.
Well, or perceived, yes, yeah, one or the other. So I think that's the last slide. No, there's one more. Efficiency measures for smaller municipalities, and this one is really small print.
do you want me to see if I can make it bigger for
No,
you?
I can do it.
Okay.
You can also probably turn around and be bigger.
Well, then I get like sitting in the front. It's like sitting in the front row of the movie theater. Can't do it. Shared service agreements, partnering with neighbor towns to share resources. Again, we've already demonstrated that we're doing that. Process streamlining, simplifying the permitting, licensing, and so putting it online, making sure that the steps are clear. Those types of things are good things to do. Low-cost digital tools, affordable cloud-based platforms like open source software, subscription-based services that can help get information out to people and help them have access to that information better. Replacing streetlights with LEDs is that came up more often than you think.
Pretty sure most towns already did it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, most towns have already done these things, right? And installing smart thermostats, and as we move into getting more modern buildings, these things are already added in, as standard part of just the engineering and architecture. Volunteer and community partnerships, engage with local nonprofits, universities, colleges in our case, and residents to support projects like park maintenance or data collection. I think I see, you see a lot about maybe like the Council on Aging. They have a lot of volunteer people who come in and work with that. That's probably a good example of where the town of Dudley is very good at that, and whether or not that can expand. All the boards are either elected or volunteer based too, so that kind of fits into that point as well. Data-driven prioritization. I think we're tapping that. Where should we focus our energy? Getting the pulse of the community to steer the direction is important in a lot of cases. And I kind of see that as what that data-driven prioritization means. Cross-training staff, you know, if staff can handle multiple roles, it can reduce reliance on specialized hires in some cases. Grant funding and state programs, we tap as many of those as we possibly can in Town of Dudley. And then there are like things like regional purchase and cooperatives, and I believe that even for like insurances and things like that, the town does participate in some consortium type groups and things like that. So there was a lot with this topic that even from a high level view, I kind of sensed like, yeah, we kind of do a lot of this already, but there's certainly some areas where I think we could maybe make some recommendations, if nothing else, to continue to pursue them, you know, because of the good job that that we've been doing as a town on some of these items. So I believe that's the last slide. Yes.
Good job.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
No, I mean, I thought you had that organized very well. I think for the average person to kind of tear apart the different pieces of an organization, how it applies to government too, instead of just, you know, I want this, I don't want that. It's like, okay, you have to look at this with you have to have an organized mind to look at an organization. I thought that was pretty, again, well organized. And I did see, as you mentioned, you know, just from being next door, you know, Dudley does a lot of things pretty well, you know, and you know, just because you have a government study committee doesn't mean it's because you're bad. It doesn't mean that. So, and I wouldn't want people to think that, you know, that just because Dudley's had a tough couple years, or that somehow there's no regard for public officials in Dudley, we have to have a process. I think it's just, even towns that have a charter have a provision to review that every so many years. It's reviewing your government is something you should be doing on a regular basis, no matter what. So I think, again, Dudley does a lot of things well, and I don't want people to lose sight of that either.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Wonderful. Good. Okay. Item F, individual member research status update. Not exactly sure what that means.
Mr. Chair,
I'll be honest.
That's an agenda item if anybody wanted to update the board on how their research is going or ask any questions.
Okay.
Just make sure that progress is being made.
You have one more topic.
I still have one topic that's outstanding, and
Okay.
I am not prepared to present. So, give me till the end of the month or something like that. And
All right.
And does that finish off the topics?
We've done town charter, operational efficiency. Which one did you pick up? Was it?
Town meeting. Oh, this one here was new hires, new employee hires, what they need versus what they actually get.
Okay. We had, yeah, I think that is. Yeah, that would be yours is the last one. So keep us posted. Okay.
And as you probably know, a few weeks ago, I did provide committee through Olivia just some examples of special acts some towns have utilized rather than a full charter. Maybe something down the road that may be of some value, may not be, but if you are inclined to look at some of those, the structure's fairly common, whether it's a legislative act or a town charter. It's things have become rather boilerplate over the last generation. So, but just if you haven't taken a look, it might be worth your while to take a quick look. It won't take you long.
Did you upload that, Olivia? Is that?
I believe that's in the OneDrive, but I can double check where I
Okay.
put it exactly.
All right. We already did G. Discussion on beginning the final report. Final report should be capital F and R, I think.
The end of the beginning of the end, is that where we're at?
Yes.
I think we kind of already started to do that, in terms of, okay, we'll provide an update to the Board of Selectmen. We'll consolidate with, any additional feedback that we may get through the surveys. We'll provide the citizens with an update in the February newsletter that hopefully can get published in other places as well. And now, given the data that we saw, again, we don't have necessarily a specific port in mind, but we know we're heading west as opposed to east. So I think that's not a bad place to be at this point in time.
When you Google government study committee reports, you get a lot of different results. A lot of towns have done this. Some of them are 182-page, like thesis-type documents. They're almost all in narrative form. I mean, I'm not going to say almost. I think all of them are like mostly narrative form. So we will have to, at some point, like memorialize our research and probably have sections that, give background, whether the PowerPoints are part of that, and then ultimately with the recommendations. Right? I mean, that's what I see. I don't know if anybody has any.
But I think to your point too, some of them are so elaborate as to be of not much value.
Well, I
mean,
didn't read the long ones.
No, that's exactly it. So any presentation needs to be as concise as it possibly can.
Right.
I mean, we could put an outline together.
Yeah.
I mean, we could start conceptually putting together at least a bullet, high-level outline,
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea.
However, I mean, we have it. We were given the charge from I mean, that's pretty much the start of an outline.
We've got 9 or 10 sections.
Yeah.
We've got 10 sections
Right.
already. Yeah.
Fill in from there, right?
I mean, yeah.
Sorry?
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be the easiest.
That's our charge,
Approach.
just list each other,
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
with a recommendation and some structural elements that if we do make a recommendation, how and where it should go. Not just, yes, we recommend such.
Yeah.
Give it some structure as far as how it gets done.
I mean, this is what we were charged with.
Yes.
We went out and we pulled in some information to help, I mean, just from our mental elimination process and how we went through it. I mean, that's kind of, and then this is how we arrived at our recommendations, is the conclusion, right? So we got to tell the story, right?
Right.
So I think we've just put an outline together, right?
Okay, we have. That's a good point.
So we can,
The only thing outside of the 10 on our master would be the discussion for DPW,
right?
because that was not in that.
Why do we? Right.
How would we put that under operational procedures?
Kind of talked about it in his presentation.
Just kind of co-op it into that one
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. Give me a second.
Yeah, I think the section that it takes a little bit of creativity really is kind of framing it up, right? Once upon a time, the town did a similar study, da-da-da-da, we, that's kind of the section that's gonna take some creative writing to kind of you know,
Yes.
put all the data, set the stage, why the Board of Selectmen charged us, right? And this is what the charge was. And then at that point, it becomes easy, right? But just queuing up the stage, why we're here, how do we get here from here? What's the background from the state, you know, the town, you know, they attempted, you know, to bring charter to the townspeople and it was shot down, you know, blah, 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 right? You know the story, but I'm just,
Fall town meeting is probably the end of October, 20-something, right?
We don't have a date for it yet, but it's mid to end of October. Not
Right.
quite Halloween,
Right.
but
So the deadline for articles would be,
deadline-ish would be early September,
early September.
I'd say. So it
lot
could
of
be
time.
finalized by end of September.
Well, you know, like, so, like, there's the charter question. Like, we don't have to write the charter for the end of September. All we need to say is, I'm assuming the article question is, should the, I don't know, it's, I'm simplifying it, is should the town of Dudley pursue a town charter? Yes or no? I mean, I know it's gonna be more elaborate than that, but at that point, another process starts, right? We're just here to figure out whether the town wants that or not. Whether they want,
or if that's the key issue we want to bring to the,
right, exactly,
To the
yeah.
town,
I'm not
right?
saying that's gonna be on the, I don't even know,
Yeah, yeah,
but that
yeah.
is an example, right?
right?
So if we need this, so we really need everything done by early September. I think that sounds reasonable. We don't know that we need to have public meetings on every single one of these issues. We could certainly focus on at least probably 2 or 3 of them. And if we had a few meetings, like going into the March,
Right.
April timeframe, weather's better, people, you know, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of positives going into that timeframe.
Yeah, I would think that we'd want to get the lion's share of what we're doing here pretty well solidified by, I don't know, early summer,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Late spring,
Yeah.
some,
May into June, Memorial
May.
Day.
Annual
Yeah.
town meeting would be a very specific target to
Yes,
set.
I was gonna say, first of summer, I think would be a little too late in the game.
yeah,
I think Rich has got a good target.
yeah, well, I'm okay, yeah.
And then we've got June, July, and August to do the writing, the composition.
You said that date though only as a date, not to do anything at that meeting.
No, not to do anything,
Right,
but
okay.
but just, you know, let's get all of our prelim work done by then,
Right.
so that we can actually spend the summer writing the actual, you know, final product.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me.
all right.
It's workable.
I think so too. Sound good? Sound good? All right, wonderful. Fabulous.
So we need that data on bond rating
Yeah.
and government structure.
Take a look at it. Olivia and I will take a look at it. Might be able to get some
Good to see you.
bond rating people to maybe do a little homework for us.
That'll be interesting. I'm curious about that question. That's a great
Yeah,
question.
There's only 2, as you know, bond rating companies, and between the 2 of them, they deal with every city and town in Massachusetts, so they may have some, they may be able to make that job easy. So that's what I'm hoping. When I said that, that's what I was kind of hoping.
Yeah. Any information would be good, so.
Anybody have anything else? Anna, we'll be together next Monday, 6:30. Perfect, I'll see you then.
See you then.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.